IRGC men who were going to kidnap her and take her back. We have witnessed a completed kidnap of another Iranian American journalist that I used to work with. He was captured, kidnapped, taken back to Iran, and he was hung about a year after that. So the reality is it has happened, or it has been plotted. Now, when will we see more average Muslims have the training to deliver and carry them out with the speed of Hamas members putting out these public videos? Probably, within next year, we might need to watch out more often for kidnapping. But the reality is they've been doing it already.
Who will be the kidnapping targets, Annie?
That is a tough one to answer. There's a very long list already existing of Trump himself, his family members, his previous administration. If you remember, those who were involved with the death of Qasem Soleimani, there's a long list of Iranian, American, Iranian, European, Iranian, Canadian, Iranian opposition. There are some of the truth tellers that are becoming more and more target, like yourself, and Jamie Glazov, and Daniel Greenfield, and Robert Spencer, and Pamela Geller. These names are starting to pop up on some of, not necessarily the lists, but you guys are getting on their lists. Sorry to say it this way, but soon your name will officially be on the list, probably after they finish and complete the existing list.
And it's because we're talking about Islam?
It's more than that, Brannon. One, you're talking about Islam. I'm going to narrow in on just Brannon Howse. You're talking about Islam, and then you're also giving microphone to Yosama Dakdok, Sharon Hadian, Aina Cyrus, those of us who are also not just talking about it, but rather we have solutions, we have ways to expose them, we speak the language. So you yourself cover it, but then you give experts who are opposing them and exposing them constant platform. It's not like you have me on once and then 4 years later you might have me on. You had me as your main speaker at your annual event. This year you have Hadiya as your main speaker. So it's more of your consistency on giving us platforms, and of course also the fact that you are talking about it yourself.
And what do they think they could gain by kidnapping any of us that you mentioned?
Well, the kidnapping method, for example, if we go back to Ruhul Azam, the Iranian man who was, he was Iranian French, who was kidnapped and then taken back to Iran. Unfortunately, aside the fact we lost him because they hung him after almost 18 months after capture and kidnapping, what they won or what they achieved was we had to disassemble the group because we had no idea under torture how much information he gave away. So we broke the entire team. We all walked our own separate ways. Years of work in building this trusted group had to disassemble itself. They had him for 18 months, torture every day. Who knows what information he gave? So that's their main target. When they do the kidnapping, especially with those who have information, it's that fear factor of, for a while, the team members are gonna go quiet until they figure out what is happening, how much information is out there. Are they next? Did the person who was captured give them the address, the home address, the social security? What did they give? So with that, they create these gaps of silence. They silence us through this method. And of course, also making a sample of those who are, because everybody who's been kidnapped, at least with the Iran IRGC system, they have always been kept for a while and then killed. So it's kind of making a sample out of them for the rest of us to know that if we don't stop, well, they get us somehow, someday, and kill us.
And several years ago, I had some experts on. They were warning about them kidnapping certain people, high-profile people, and then torturing them and filming it all and pushing it all over social media.
Yes.
Obviously, that's part of terrorism, to terrorize people, right?
Exactly. To show power through terrorizing people. That's been their method from their prophet to today.
Which is why they film beheading people, right?
Yes. I was about to say now, Muhammad didn't have technology back then, but he actually had witnesses who would send out. He would send out to go tell the story of what just happened right after he ordered the beheading of 800 Jews in one morning. They just copied it. Now they have the advantage. They have social media. They have, TV reporters. They have other ways to show millions of people what they just did and terrify them. And look, Brannon, in a way, they have achieved their goal. I personally know too many people who will stay away from this topic because they are afraid they will be that person on that camera one day. So they have achieved their goal. They have created enough fear for us to become minority. There are a lot of people who know the truth, but there aren't enough of us talking about the truth. And that's the goal.
Let's talk about this video. Have you seen this video? It's on social media. Is it legit? Iran supposedly practicing kidnapping President Trump. Have you seen this video? Is it legit?
I actually have seen that video, and it is actually legit.
It is?
Yes. The car that just drove by actually does have the Farsi writing on it. However, this is, I'm not this, I was the first one to say, President Trump, watch your back, because they're serious about their revenge. However, they did this specifically for the purpose of being released. So what you see isn't the real practice. This is not the real tactic or blueprint of what they're planning to do.
This is just basically mocking Trump.
Yes. Yes, and by the way, just if anybody's curious, on the side of that truck, it says the trash can of history. And they're dumping Trump into the trash can of history.
Yeah. But do they really think they could kidnap an acting president of the United States with all his security?
Well, the way things are going, why wouldn't they? Let's look at it for a second. President Trump is starting to consider a lot, not Iranians, but a lot of Middle Easterns who are paid by Iranian regime. He's considering a lot of them friends now, from Syria to Saudi Arabia to Qatar. So if he continues blindly dealing with them, shaking their hands, having dinner with them, there will definitely be an opportunity for hired by IRGC members to kidnap him.
Well, particularly if he keeps making trips overseas, right?
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not as worried about him here in the U.S., but when he goes overseas, I just don't know how the Secret Service, when he goes overseas to certain countries, those guys must just have a really hard time sleeping until they get out of the country. Because how would the Secret Service, even regardless of how many agents they bring with them and their SWAT teams with them, how are you going to overcome the assets that are in a foreign country?
You can't, especially in those countries. Like just even the smallest. Let's talk about Qatar for a minute. How do you say it?
Qatar.
Mm-hmm. Qatar. Yes. Let's talk about that. A small, very small country in comparison to other ones, but Qatar can easily be not even involved. Not saying they won't be, but they can deny any involvement because they have other Islamic militia groups inside their country. All it takes is for 3, let's say, members of IRGC, members of Houthi members, and some of the Qatari militia groups to coordinate an attack on Qatar government or Qatari security and President Trump's security. It's a matter of 20 to 25 minutes. Even if we get some of our military members inside the Qatari base to react, they're going to be too late. Because it's so small, then immediately if they coordinate correctly on a proper destination from the airport, they have 7 to 8 minutes to exit the country and to be in the next country. There's nothing that we can do at that point. Yes, we have to declare war, but what is that going to fix? But I genuinely don't think anyone in his administration is sitting there giving him the information I just mentioned. Like nobody's thinking about that because nobody's taking it serious enough. Because we just bombed their nuke site, so we're just that powerful.
Let's go to some of your Substacks. Let's see. Here's one. Oil, nukes, and Sharia. What could possibly go wrong? We funded bin Laden's harbor. Now we're building their energy empire too. Tell me about this at liveuptofreedom.substack.com. Tell me about this, please.
Yeah, there you go. Another miscalculation by President Trump and his administration. So apparently we just reached a business deal with Pakistan. Now, mind you, this is the same Pakistan that has, on Substack I mentioned, but highlighting it, this is the same Pakistan that has reportedly estimated 170 nuclear bombs. This is the same Pakistan that's funding jihad in Middle East. This is the same Pakistan that's shaking hands of Taliban and allowing Taliban in Pakistan to run their business. The same Pakistan that has not had a single prime minister in the history of their country that ever finished a term. That's how there is no stability in this nation, this country. But we just came to an agreement with them that Trump administration and United States of America is going to help them with manpower, equipment, experts, and all that to tap into their oil reserves. Now, I understand if they add to world's oil, then that's a good thing, but I need to mention Pakistan as of right now, the best. Let's say we get very lucky because history says any European country that tried it, they ended up digging and getting to nothing. But even if we get lucky and hit every single reserve, the best we got is less than 300 million barrels of oil. Now, to a lot of people might think, oh, that's a lot. No, it isn't, because you have Iran with over 160 billion barrels. Let's not even touch Saudi Arabia with over 250 billion barrels. You do a comparison, I don't even understand this still, Brannon. Why are we wasting manpower, energy, experts, time, possibly money, equipment to go drill oil for Pakistan so they can have a secondary leverage over us? Their nuke is already a leverage. A few weeks ago, if you remember, they were making threats of nuking India. Remember that? Now we want to give them more power, more money, so they can fund more jihad and also have higher leverage against us Western countries with the history of Pakistan. I really don't know who gave him this advice, by him, President Trump. But again, it's another disaster Trump administration is creating in the Middle East.
Are you getting invited to the Christmas White House party this year?
No, but he did invite me to iftar party of next year for Ramadan.
Here's the next one. From Hamas to warlords. Tell me about this one.
Okay. This one is even worse because it's flying completely under the radar. I don't think anyone has heard of this until I published it. So we have a new good guy in Gaza border, painted as a good guy. Him and his militia are collaborating with IDF as of right now. Yes, that's accurate. They're actually doing some of the checkpoints in some of the areas where the trucks of aids are coming in. However, this good guy, Yasser Abu Shabab is his name. He has reached out to U.S., not even Israel, to U.S., again, Trump administration, asking for U.S. to give him control over Gaza instead of Hamas. And looks like we're entertaining this idea, and we've been talking to Netanyahu, and Netanyahu is now entertaining the idea. Normally people would be like, well, that's a great thing. Somebody who's already working with IDF is willing to help with Gaza. Here's the problem. First of all, Yasser was in Hamas prison serving 25 years, which normally would look like a good thing. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. But he wasn't in there because he was a Christian or he questioned Muhammad. No, he was in there because he was trafficking drugs in humans. So he's a human and drug trafficker. The reason he's out and free right now is after October 7th, series of attacks. One of the attacks pretty much damaged one of the prisons. A lot of prisoners fled. He was one of them. He wasn't freed, or he wasn't, signed off as you're not guilty. He ran, regrouped with his militia, and then showed up in Gaza, hiding behind IDF protection by offering IDF services. Now, mind you, Yasser himself, on a recent interview to one of the Arabic networks, has admittedly said, yes, we steal some of the 8 trucks ourselves, but Hamas is still more of them, so we're not the bad guys. So to quickly recap, Yasser is a drug lord, human trafficker, Muslim who makes his militia members do the 5 times a day prayer every day with guns and training, who is stealing from the aids that's going into Gaza, and it's hiding behind IDF, not because he's pro-Israel, because he wants to be protected from Hamas. And this guy potentially could become the new boss of Gaza, which to me, Brannon, isn't this the same thing that happened with Hamas? Israel allowed Hamas to grow to oppose PLO, and then we got the Hamas problem. Now we're going to let Yasser and his militia, which, by the way, they call themselves People's Force, let them go up against Hamas, replace Hamas. I mean, we've seen this in Gaza, and we've seen this in Africa. What happened when Western countries told the militia, gun-holding man, to become peacekeepers of local? Look what happened in Nigeria. Boko Haram was born. So this is where we're going. Just a heads up, there's a good chance in a year or two, we have a fresh, brand new group, not called Hamas, but doing exactly what Hamas is doing.
Well, I read a tweet earlier today, whether it's true or not. I read a tweet from a news group that Netanyahu was going to turn Gaza over to an international group to manage it. Then I hear today that no, Israel's going to keep control of it. Which one is it going to be?
Actually, yesterday when I concluded on my show right here on your network, Worldview Tube, I did say, I pray that my guess is incorrect, because the latest is they're going to do, well, Netanyahu, Bibi has the vote for complete military takeover. I hear the word complete military takeover. I know what Yasser has been proposing with his militia military man. My guess is actually they're going to hand it over to Yasser, thinking he's from them. He was, imprisoned by Hamas. So they're going to do the takeover, clear out Hamas, and then hand it over to People's Force, which will be a huge mistake, but it all points that way right now.
Is that the international group he's referring to, or is that a false news report?
No, they are not an international group. I have not. I don't have any confirmation that there is a talk of an international group to manage Gaza.
So, they have a pattern, like you said. They also, after the war, gave custody of the Temple Mount to the Muslims. I mean, that was a dumb decision then. They just seem to keep making one bad decision after another. I mean, it's at some point, Israel is in a spot, sometimes, not always. I mean, they're surrounded by Islamists that hate them, but they find themselves in these messes of their own making.
I would agree to a point with you, but it's not all on Israel. The only mistake Israel
No, I agree. It's not on all Israel. I don't mean to imply that. You're right. But they didn't have to give custody of the Temple Mount to them. They didn't have to ask all the Jews to leave Gaza. I mean, they keep doing these things that make the problem worse.
Yeah, but to their understanding, or at least the pressure they're feeling right now, listen, they didn't have to agree to a ceasefire. They could have finished the regime of Iran and be done with it. But U.S. put the pressure on them. If you look back, it has always been Israel had to choose between finishing the job or not turning one of the Western countries against them.
But I thought it was Israel that told Trump what to do. I thought Israel was the people running America. I thought Israel and the Jews run the world. Which, of course, that's the lie, right? That's the lie. But everything
that is the propaganda.
Everything shows the exact opposite. That the U.S. keeps bringing Israel to heel over and over. It doesn't matter. Republican, Democrat. They keep calling Israel to heel.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's not even a mistake. They have been put in a very bad position for a long time. They either go up against these Islamists and finish them, or they have to go up against the Western countries. Israel doesn't have what it takes to go up against us or EU. But then we don't want to face that because we never want to take the blame. We don't do anything wrong. So the propaganda is, Jews run America and Bibi tells Trump what to do. But this time, I really think if they make this mistake of handing it over to People's Force or Yasser Al Shabab, I really think this will be the last mistake they're going to make. And we're all going to pay the price for it. Because It's going to take less than a week, maybe two, for Islamic Republic of Iran's regime to buy out Yasser.
Let's go to a tweet by I think this one was the FBI director. Yeah, here it is. This is from August 6th.
Kash Patel?
Yeah, Kash Patel. The FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force arrested a man in Long Beach for allegedly sending money to ISIS and pledging allegiance to terrorist organizations that target Americans. Now, we covered this the other day with Colonel Rob Maness. Notice the switch. Now, I don't know if that is a switch to set a timer. And Colonel Maness is an expert on this because he was part of, in the military, dealing with these and diffusing these. So he was commenting on this. But he said there's ball bearings. In fact, you can even see them in there. You can see them right there, right in between the cans. You're going to see the ball bearings in those plastic bags right there. You can see them down there further. Man, maybe you can zoom in on that, Logan. See those ball bearings in there? You're going to try to zoom in on those. You can see them. But Colonel Maness was talking. Who's at the controls? Is that Thomas or? Okay, it's Logan. See the ball bearings are right in there between those cans. Now, Maness was saying this thing could kill a lot of people. And the switch either starts a timer, or he said this could very well just be part of a suicide vest type mechanism. The fact that they found this, we're thankful for that. But remember, Sarah Adams is talking about these multiple teams that go in and fight to the death. What do you make of this being found and support the guys being tied back to ISIS?
Well, I would say I'm very happy they caught the guy. Because I don't have any expertise, believe it or not. I'm an ex-Muslim, but I don't know how to make bombs. I don't have any expertise on that. But even if it would take one person out, that's plenty. We have given enough lives to Islamic Jihad, especially in America. I'm glad he was caught. But the question is, how many of him are out there, Brannon? And how many more of these devices have been made that we're not aware of? Mm-hmm. And when are they planning to test them or come out in 5, 6, 10 cities and trigger every single one of them? These are the moments that when FBI sees these cases, they really need to shift their focus and emphasize on finding these people faster. Because we both know this. He wasn't alone. He wasn't the first. He wasn't the last. Now, this arrest, is this going to speed it up? Are they going to panic and come out sooner? Are they going to slow down, back down for an extra week before they attack? I don't know. I'm just not comfortable. Well, I'm glad it was found. I'm just not comfortable knowing it was found. Mm-hmm. Well, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. But the reason I bring it up is so people who think we're crying wolf or being sensational, talking about these things in advance, we're not. And when they keep finding bombs, then you know there's a problem. I mean, did you see the guy that had the LP tanks and gasoline in New York?
I did hear. I did not see any videos or pictures, but I did hear from a friend who called me and said that, seems like New York might be having another attack.
Mm-hmm. Here it is. Here's the video. Look at this. Look at this. I'll start it over. Look at that. Look at all those LP tanks.
Oh, wow.
Look at the gas.
This vehicle, this guy tried to run off. Well, he's not there, but they caught up with him. He ran off. And this is what they got from the vehicle. On 46.
Oh, he ran off.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this.
Do we know if he was captured?
Not yet, I don't.
Look at what they're getting from the vehicle.
Look at all that, Annie.
Look at this, guys.
Wow.
You see that? This is on 42nd Street.
On 22nd Street, New York City.
Yeah. Look at this.
Look at all the cops taking pictures. I mean, that's not official duty stuff there. I got to show my wife or my friends this. They won't believe it.
It's crazy.
Yes, they will not believe it.
Look at them. Every one of those cops was taking pictures because they couldn't believe it.
I didn't notice that.
You did notice that, right?
Yes,
I mean, those cops see stuff every day. They're not taking pictures of a lot of stuff because it's routine. Every one of those cops, it looked like, pulled out their camera because that is not something you see every day. And it's like, oh my. When I go home and tell my family this, they're not going to believe it. I better bring a picture to prove it.
Here's my receipt, exactly. And again, I just heard the lady saying the guy took off running.
Right.
And the question is, was he caught? Do we know if they got him? Or is he out there replanning his plan? And that's the thing. If I could add to something you said when you said to people who think we're just, talk about this kind of stuff ahead of time, I prefer for us to tell people to watch your back and be ready than withhold that information and come out afterwards.
Yep.
And, tell people, well, I knew, we know people like that, Brannon, who don't say anything. And then when something happens, they're like, well, I knew it's going to happen. Well, why didn't you inform people? Why didn't you put the information out there then? There is no harm in having the knowledge. We all pray that never happens, but we all know they wake up every morning thinking how to destroy America.
Let's go to Ilhan Omar.
Why do we have to?
Yeah, we do. Because Laura Loomer out there is getting into it with Ilhan. Ilhan, apparently, if this is really her account, which I think it is, J.D. Vance.
It is her account.
Okay, J.D. Vance and another pedophile protection party officials, I guess the report is that he was going to have a meeting about Epstein at his residence with other people in the administration, are holding an emergency meeting tonight. That's supposed to have been last night. Over their strategy on the Epstein files. This cover-up is a disgrace to Epstein's victims. The American people deserve transparency and accountability. Release the files. Laura said, as a Muslim, what makes you think you have any authority talking about pedophilia? You worship a pedophile false prophet who raped a 9-year-old. The rag on your head is a sign of respect for the pedophile you worship. Sit this one out, Ilhan. Muhammad was a pedophile. Oh, mic drop.
Yeah. Way to go, Loomer. Yeah. What do you add to that? You could say you also don't have any authority to talk about pedophilia because, you don't mind marrying your own brother. But that's the old case, I guess. Or you could say, okay, we'll release the Epstein file as soon as you tell us which one is your real husband. The brother husband or the husband husband? Unfortunately, this is a topic. I agree with Loomer, and everybody knows I don't like. I wish we didn't have to deal with Ilhan, but I'm gonna have to also say that I agree this Epstein file needs to be dealt with once and for all with transparency. Let's separate the issues. Ilhan Omar has no authority to talk about pedophilia, correct? But she does have a point there. I don't agree with the first part. I don't even know J.D. Vance is, I don't know, why is J.D. Vance being called a pedophile? Unless I missed a memo.
Well, I guess it was a pedophile, it was like, what did she say? A pedophile, we had a pedophile emergency meeting about Epstein.
Oh yeah, pedophile protector party. That's what she called them. But I would like to separate the issues. Yes, she should just resign and go back to Somalia, or we should deport her. We have plenty grounds, but she's got a point. Everybody should push for this Epstein issue. At this point, it's not even about the file. I don't even trust whatever file being released. I won't trust it. Too late. It feels like whatever is if they release anything, I will not trust what was released.
What's in it now, yeah.
Exactly. But I do agree that we do need to put pressure without accusations, without name calling. In general, we need to stop that altogether, unless it really applies like Loomer calling Mohammed a pedophile. That's factual.
That's factual.
That's not name calling. But we do need to at least come to realization that emphasizing on Epstein issue in this country is important right now.
Let's talk about, real quick in closing, all the Christians being slaughtered.
Where? Syria? Lebanon?
Exactly.
Iran? Where are we going? Azerbaijan?
Mozambique, Nigeria.
Yeah.
Mozambique. I think we just had a bunch that were killed in Mozambique, did we not?
Yes.
And then Nigeria, Robert Spencer is saying Muslims have murdered over 50,000 Christians since 2009 in Nigeria. Mozambique was another one this week. These things, aside from this broadcast and a few other conservative outlets, this doesn't make a lot of news anymore. It's just people aren't interested in this story. Can you believe that? Can you believe that Christians are being murdered and people aren't talking about it, even in America?
I actually do. 3 years ago, Brannon and I put out a post on my Facebook, which received a lot of backlash, which is okay. I'm used to it. But I actually put a post out saying the most hated and executed people on earth are Christians. However, there will never be enough a spotlight on them as long as the Israel-Palestine conflict exists. Now, a lot of people took me wrong, called me anti-Semite, but what I was pointing out, what I was pointing out. It's exactly what we see today. Anti-Semitism is a skyrocketing, no question about it. However, they have always realized that, first of all, Christians are not minority like Jews, so getting rid of us needs a quiet corner. So they kept fueling the fire of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia while underneath the Christians are being slaughtered.
Mm-hmm.
That has always been the strategy. So yes, I believe it. It's not shocking at all.
And then finally, Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas pressing for revocation of Terrified Care, that's a Council on American Islamic Relations, tax-exempt status, which of course,
yes,
the Muslim Brotherhood started in 1928. Hamas, they started in 1987, and then they started CARE in 1994. Well, he's right. He's right. But why is he doing this now? Is he setting up to run for president? Why is he doing this?
I will say what I'm about to say. I can neither deny or confirm, but I was actually informed by some involved that my expose on CARE and their standing tax exemption on my Substack somehow landed on 5 senators' desk. One of them has directly contacted me, by the way, is from Texas.
Really?
And yes, and some other officials. And some, including him, didn't even know about the tax exemption or about the 501c3 status. So that they have done their own investigation, come to realize my information is factual, and decided to make a move. Again, I'm not saying this is me. This is what I was told by the senator office that I was contacted by. So it looks like that has made some noise. Legally, some legislators are thinking, I did call them out on that Substack, if you remember. Like, I don't have the power to revoke this, but you do, so we'll leave you to your duties. So, Lord willing, that's what started this.
Well, good. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great job, Annie.
Thank you.
Let's see here real quick. I touched on this with Patrick Wood today. The European Union proposal to scan all private messages gains momentum. So you and I texting with our buddy Peter McAvena in Great Britain. If this goes through, they're going to be scanning all the messages that were sitting back and forth in Great Britain to him.
What are they doing to EU? Like, what is EU doing?
The EU is cracking down on free speech, cracking down on freedom of religion, letting Islam grow. They also, by the way, are going to, I have it on my Worldview Report. If you go to Worldview Report, you'll see that I have here, EU's technocratic border control will be launched in October. It applies to all non-EU visitors. So they're doing the border control. They're going to a digital dollar. I mean, I said today on radio with Patrick Wood, I believe the Bible talks about what is a Eurocentric world government. If you look at Daniel, out of the book of Daniel, particularly, I think you're headed toward a Eurocentric world government. And already you see Europe doing everything that would lay the foundation for a man to rise out of that area, which I think will be the Antichrist. So Europe is well on their way to the mark of the beast, social credit scores, controlling everything. No wonder, the Bible talks about people being murdered and slaughtered so fast during the tribulation period. As they come to Christ, they're being slaughtered about as quickly as they come to Christ. Well, sure. I mean, anything you text or whatever is going to be, by then, who knows what the technology will be. But they're going to be able to identify you very quickly by anything you're putting out. But here's the EU wanting to scan all of our communications.
Well, I guess what I don't understand is, okay, so if you're part of EU or resident or citizen, fine. But this way, they're infringing on our rights, right?
That's right. That's right. And I thought we fought an American Revolution with them over this kind of garbage, right?
Exactly where I was going with this. I'm like, are we going to have another revolution? The whole purpose was for us to have our own rights that are much better than theirs. But seems like there won't be a line drawn. Like, it's not just internal messaging. It's any message that comes to their devices, which is ridiculous. Well, the question is, are they going to monitor all the Islamic jihadist messages and go get them too?
No, just us.
I doubt it.
Just us. And can I just tell you, Annie, my concern when I see all these alligator Alcatraz and all this stuff being built and people cheering this on, and they tell me that this is being built so they can put illegals into it. I think to myself, we couldn't just throw up some tents in a big old field. The federal government owns so much land. We couldn't put some porta potties up and some big old tents and put them in there until we deport them. We had to go build full on alligator Alcatraz. What about all those white tents? We had our reporters from Michael Yon to Todd Bensman to the guys at Muckrakers, Anthony Rubin. They were showing us through drone footage all of these white tents inside chain link fences that were already built during the Biden administration. Why do we need to build all these extra ones? I'm concerned the Trump administration, whether they know it or not, is building the infrastructure that could be turned around, from biometrics to everything else that's going on that they're building with Palantir and with ChatGPT and all the rest of it. I'm afraid they're building the system that's going to be turned on conservatives and Christians. Am I wrong to be that suspicious?
Not at all. I would just make a tweak and say it's going to turn against free thinkers. You don't have to be a conservative. If you have a thought process of your own, you will become an enemy at some point in this country, whatever that thought process might be. And also, even if you look at it legally, an illegal, there is no process. We have created this process, Brannon. By law and by constitution, if you cross the border without documentation, meaning without a visa or without an I-94, anything that is allowing you into the country, immediate deportation is on the table. Immediate. There is no need of court date. There is no requirement of asylum, because for the record, immigration it's a privilege. It is not a right. So nobody has to listen to your case. And if you had a case, you should have gone through the proper channels like the rest of us, so we could listen to you and we could hear you. And then we could decide if we want you in here or not. But there is no need even for tents. They're illegals. Get them on a plane. Get them back to wherever they came from. End of a story. Tax dollars are being wasted.
Why are they really building this?
Because soon they have to close in on all of us who will fight for our freedoms and liberties until death. Mm-hmm. They need to have a place to lock us up without calling it a prison or a gulag. So they're just going to build that. We will become illegals at some point.
liveuptofreedom.substack.com, liveuptofreedom.substack.com. Leave us with some good news. Do you have any?
Yes, here's great news for me and your audience. I just brought 30 brand new products, never made before, new designs to my artist store. You have not seen these before. They are all faith-based, brand new products, including earrings and necklaces. So here's good news. You can go get some brand new looks. That was literally the only good news I have.
Well, no,
I do have great news, but that's not new news. But the great news is, Brannon, at the end of the day, we know what's going to happen at the end. And we know we're on the right side of history, humanity, and faith. So we just need to hang in there, do the right thing, continue seeing the light while they try to make our life as dark as possible.
And I said to Patrick today, I said, the more I study the book of Revelation, the more I believe that Islam plays a major role in Bible prophecy. When you look at Gog Magog, you see these Islamic nations there, but people being killed by the sword. I mean, who kills people by the sword? Islam. You see so many other things in the scripture that cause me to believe that Islam plays a major role. And your major Bible prophecy writers of the 70s and 80s, John Whitcomb, John Walvoord, David Hawking, the list goes on and on, Robert L. Thomas. A lot of these guys didn't talk about Islam in their Bible prophecy analysis because Islam would not have been a major global threat in the 1970s and 80s. Today it is. And I think Islam is going to play a major role in America and in Bible prophecy and globally. And if I had to say it, now good, I'm not trying to be a downer tonight, but the trajectory that I see with Islam capturing 18 major American cities, with the rise of the Islamists in Congress, in running major cities, the mayor running in New York, the mayor running in Minneapolis, all of this, the media, the hate crime laws that are one-sided towards those of us who speak truth, the fact that Islam can basically run and take over Texas, of all places, and have Pakistani Day from the state capitol. I believe, it's my personal belief that God is giving America over and that he's using Islam to judge America. And I believe America is going to fall to Islam. I believe that's going to happen. Just like Europe is falling to Islam, I believe America will fall to Islam. And I think that's part of God's judgment per Romans 1. I think we see that in the book of Nahum, the Old Testament book of Nahum, when they were plotting evil against the Lord. That was a tipping point for judgment. And we see that the Assyrians were used by God to bring judgment, right? But then eventually God judged the Assyrians. I think God is going to use Islam to judge many Western nations, and then God's going to turn around and judge Islam, probably in Ezekiel 38:39. Would you agree with any of that?
I would, yes. However, I don't see us falling to Islam. I think it will get as bad as Spain. But I don't think we're going to end up, I don't think they're going to get to fly their flag over our White House. It will get really bad. It will. But I still like to believe that there is enough of the current generation of Christians that will stand up when the time comes. It's going to be late, but it's not going to be too late.
But of course, let's say we're 20 years down the road. 20 years down the road, I'm 76 years old.
Yes, but I can testify that you have raised your children to not sit down and let this thing take over.
True, but my kids are the minority.
But that's where I say I don't think it is. I don't think your kids will be the minority.
You don't? By then you think
I don't.
You think we're going to see a revival in America?
Yes. I truly believe that that's why I said the current generation being the generation that in 20, 25 years become my or your age, very soon there will be that moment where your kids will have influence on the kids who are falling for the propaganda of pro-Palestine and LGBTQ and all of that. They will reverse this.
Let's pray they do. Wow. One more little video. This is, I guess things are heating up in Lebanon. Shia groups start taking to the streets in Lebanon after the government decided to disarm Hezbollah. Here's what we got tonight. Wow. All right.
Those are some serious Hezbollah flags flying.
Yeah.
Whew.
What can you tell me about this?
Well, I actually reported on this a couple of times this week. The Hezbollah leader came out and pretty much said, we are not going to agree to being disarmed. Their terms are ridiculous. They will, if Israel would give up all fights with all countries, including, Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthis, and basically pull their military off borders, which is impossible. So he did say that we will not agree to being disarmed. And then the government of Lebanon ordered their military, the country military, to disarm Hezbollah, whatever it takes. The first attempt failed pretty badly, actually. I don't know why they think a handful of soldiers are going to handle Hezbollah. bottom line is, it looks like if we are not being careful, and by we, I literally mean Trump administration, Lebanon might actually fall into Hezbollah's hands.
Well, so are we talking civil war?
We are talking civil war. We're talking Syria, what just happened in January. That might happen in Lebanon, especially because right now Islamic Republic of Iran has full force to try to get Hezbollah more power in Lebanon. So yes, there's a good chance that Lebanon might become Hezbollah's territory fully. No more government, no more officials, just literally, as I said, becomes Gaza border or Syria or I don't know, you name it, any other country we have stepped in and destroyed in Middle East.
And I hate to toot our own horn, but how many groups are reporting on this tonight?
I except my Facebook and Substack, I have not heard anyone talk about Hezbollah disarming in Lebanon until now when you brought it up.
Mm-hmm. Just these things are just not on the radar of most groups, are they? They really are not.
No, because there is such a, please pardon me for using this term, but there is such an arrogant going on between the two sides of aisle of media, either main or alternative media. It's just they don't understand certain things that they're arguing over are so irrelevant to the problems today.
Mm-hmm. Well, I say that when I often walk through the room and then Fox News was on. I finally got them to turn that off because I don't have to see those gals with their big puffed up lips. I mean, lips that are just like, I think they're about to pop. Some serious lip injections on a few of the chicks I saw recently on Fox. I'm like, I don't want to look at that. I don't want to look at that. But I walked through the room and stopped for a minute, and the conversations are just so juvenile and stupid. I'm like, has Fox turned into The View? Because it's just a bunch of dumb people swapping their opinion on stuff that really doesn't matter.
Well, it's not just Fox News, though. Brannon, as I said, look at just tomorrow morning, get on Rumble, on the homepage of Rumble. Look at all the big names with millions of viewers. Look at their topics. You're like, who cares? And why are you all talking about the same thing anyways? Why don't we share our platforms, right?
Yeah. Well,
can some of us...
My opinion, Annie, is that some of these influencers out here, they are controlled. They are funded and they're controlled, whether by the RNC, the GOP, the CIA. I believe a lot of these groups out here are heavily controlled. They got where they got because they got help, they got pushed, they got lifted. A lot of these people, they've never written books, they've never produced documentaries. They're not that bright. We never heard of them until the last few years. They don't have a long track record. Mine 35 years, yours 25 plus years, whatever it is now, 20 years. They don't have what you and I have. And I'm thinking, where do these people come from? They don't have resumes that are really impressive at all. And yet you get this following. And I really think they got help. I think we know the FBI, the CIA, some of their guys infiltrated some of the social media platforms, according to numerous reports. I think there's a big psych op going. We always talk about the psych op on the right, the liberals controlling the media, but I think there's a psych op on the right, not just the left, the right, as well, where a lot of the people that are the so-called influencers, Dr. Annie Woods calls them sinfluencers. I think a lot of these people on the right, they're controlled, whether they know it or not. They've been boosted and controlled, and they stay in a simple, shallow, non-really important area of topics because that's what they're there for, is to distract from conversations and people like what we talk about. Agree or disagree?
100% agreed. Yes. Their position is to distract from whatever they're told to distract people from. And immediately they come out back to back from morning to night. Every single one of them start changing narrative, changing something becomes more important and more breaking than the important topic that was running on air.
And that
yes,
can't be
100%.
coincidental. Cannot be coincidental, I don't think.
No, absolutely not.
LiveUpToFreedom.com and LiveUpToFreedom.substack.com. Again, LiveUpToFreedom.com, LiveUpToFreedom.substack.com. Two different websites. Check them out. And LUTFstudio.com. Annie Cyrus. Thank you, Annie.
Thank you, Brannon. Stay safe.
You too, my friend. We'll be right back after this break.
True beauty isn't applied. It's nourished from within. Bella Grace Elixir, a luxurious, scientifically crafted blend designed to restore radiance, vitality, and strength at a cellular level. At the heart of Bella Grace Elixir lies cat's claw, a powerful herb from the Amazon known for its ability to control inflammation and protect collagen. With Verisaw collagen peptides, it goes beyond the surface, stimulating your body's natural collagen production to reduce fine lines, improve skin elasticity, and promote real, visible change. Bella Grace Elixir doesn't stop at collagen. It includes astaxanthin, one of nature's most powerful antioxidants. 6,000 times stronger than vitamin C, astaxanthin protects your skin from harmful UV rays and environmental stress, while locking in hydration and promoting a radiant, youthful glow. Experience the power of nature with Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Discover the science behind Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Read powerful testimonials from doctors and real customers who've experienced life-changing results, and explore other wellness products from Bella Grace. Bella Grace Elixir is more than just a product. It's a solution. Visit melissahousebg.com today.
July 6, 2005. This is Tom Harper. Man figures plankton stopped his rare cancer. We got more of a response from this, from our viewers, than anything else you and I have ever discussed.
Tom Harper, 20 years ago, he had mesothelioma, deadly lung cancer, was given weeks to live, and he just intuitively started to eat the phytoplankton out of his fish tanks because he fed the phytoplankton to his shellfish. He was a shellfish farmer. And when he went in for the surgery, the surgeon came out of the operating room and told his family, I have not ever seen anything like it. The cancer is benign, and Tom Harper lived for years. He retired in Hawaii. We're not making any claim.
Here he is in his own words.
Started on a daily routine of just taking a bit of paste, putting it in my mouth, and wash it down with a drink of water. Within about 10 to 15 days, here I am, less pain in my back. I knew that something was going on, so I just kept eating half a teaspoon of this paste a day. I was booked to go for surgery in Victoria where they were going to do what they call a talc treatment. They went in there to have a look, saw something they never seen before, took 11 sites, sent them away for biopsy. I got the news back. Everything was benign. They just did not know what to make of it. Everything was absolutely clean. And I've tried dieting all my life because I'm a diabetic. If it's a coincidence or not, I don't know. My blood sugar started dropping. My weight started falling off. Here I am, no longer requiring insulin, and I was taking 88 units a day of insulin. I can eat just about what I want in moderation, and I have no elevated sugar levels, and I feel fabulous.
People, you hear the word cancer and they want you to be instilled with fear. Cancer is nothing but a profound failure of the immune system. And what happened with Tom Harper is the phytoplankton is microscopic. It's God's microscopic food. And the Gadatana is the most nutritionally comprehensive strain phytoplankton in the world. David Hunter studied phytoplankton for 20 years because he worked for Tom Harper and he was there in person and witnessed Tom's recovery. It's about getting pure nutrition inside your cells. And what happens, your body balances again or goes back to homeostasis. And when your body is pH balanced or in homeostasis, disease can't grow. It is literally microscopic, pure single cell plant food with protein and omega-3 fatty acids, omega-6 fatty acids, with amino acids and vitamins and minerals. 1 scoop a day. There's 90 billion plant cells in here just for everyday nutrition and energy and, cognitive support, because this is God's pure nutrition.
Go to melissahousegpa.com today. Discover the science and learn more about the wonderful benefits of Gadatana phytoplankton. That's melissahousegpa.com. melissahousegpa.com.
Faith, spiritual values, moral issues, government, economy, education, work, responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brannon Howse.
And welcome. On this August 7th, 2025, August 7th, 2025. Joining me today is going to be Patrick Wood, because it just keeps getting creepier and creepier out there. Are you ready for this? Over at technocracy.news, European Union proposes to scan all private messages. That's gaining momentum, folks. That is gaining momentum. Scanning all your private messages, but it gets worse than that. Hang on, they're even going after the encrypted. Again, creepy alert. Sensitive conversations with ChatGPT show up on Google searches. Hope nobody is asking ChatGPT about anything personal, about any medical condition or anything else. Wow. Human AI relationships. Quote, what am I falling in love with? End quote. Joining me now is Patrick Wood, I would say the country's leading expert on technocracy and transhumanism. Patrick, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
You bet. Glad to be here.
Let's go to this one right here. EU proposes to scan all private messages, and that's gaining momentum in the EU. Now, what about the encryption? What about like Signal and all these other apps that can encrypt your messages? Is it going to get around that as well?
This is the intent of this whole legislation, is to break Signal and WhatsApp in particular. And catch this: these apps are end-to-end encrypted. When you press enter on your phone with a message, it's supposed to encrypt it and send it away, and then it gets de-encrypted on the receiver's phone, right? So end-to-end, that's what it means. End-to-end is encrypted. But what they want to do is insert a snippet of code that will read your message by the time you press enter and it gets encrypted, to scan your message for trouble, whatever that means to the EU. If you're a bad boy, it knows when you're being bad. So this would basically be the end of encryption at that point. What's the point of doing that? Well, this basically will, if it goes through, it'll kill these apps altogether.
Is there any more evidence we need? I mean, it's just piling up. Mm-hmm. The EU wants to shut down freedom of speech, freedom of religion. I mean, it is they are bending over backwards for Islam. I mean, no wonder the Antichrist is going to pick Europe, have a Eurocentric world government. Not that other nations won't be involved, but I believe strongly it'll be a Eurocentric world government. That's what I've been writing about, speaking about for years. I think you believe the same thing. And isn't it interesting, just coincidentally, we see Europe leading the way in what could be the mark of the beast system. They've just now are rolling out the idea of big time of a digital dollar, digital currency. I mean, Europe is de-Christianizing themselves with Islam. Is there anything Europe could be doing any more aggressively to prepare the way for Antichrist than they're already doing? I don't think there is, really.
No.
Other than maybe start killing, maybe then start arresting and killing Christians. But in one sense, they already are arresting Christians. They're arresting at least those who proclaim a Christian worldview, whether they know it or not. Because when you speak about Islam, the truth about Islam, the truth about LGBTQ, whether that person knows it or not, they're proclaiming aspects of a Christian worldview, which includes not only exposing evil, Ephesians 5:11, have nothing to do with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose it. But it's also exposing immorality, perversion, a debased mind that promotes these things. So I cut myself shaving again today. When I can't wait to get to heaven so I can quit shaving. Many reasons. That's certainly not on the top of the list, people. But won't it be great not to have to shave anymore? I get so sick of shaving. anyhow, and people will send me emails. You got to go to an electric razor. No, it just dries my skin out. Something horrific. Maybe I should do what Patrick does and grow a beard. Look at how nice that looks. You didn't even. When was the last time you had to bother with shaving, Patrick?
Not hardly.
Yeah, not hardly. All right, back to where we were. Sorry for those wondering why does he keep dabbing his mouth. That's why. I mean, already people in Europe are being arrested for either being Christians or proclaiming, whether they know it or not, as I said, a Christian worldview. So, I mean, Europe is a great place for the Antichrist to rise. And maybe it's William. The more I read about Prince William, the more I think, wow, this guy would be on my short list too. I'm reading articles. Who could believe the articles, I guess, at one sense. But it sounds like he is really ready for the old man to push on and become king. Are you reading any of these articles?
I am, and it looks like that's exactly the case at this point. As the old man, as you say, is pushed out of all decision making, he's stepping in already. So he's asserting himself right now.
And he seems like he has a temper. From what I've read, that's my opinion. It seems like he might have a very short temper, short fuse, and is not really open to a whole lot of pushback from people. Again, these are just my assumptions. I could be 100% wrong, but just based on what I'm reading about him, this guy seems like he is going to be a strong king. But of course, his father was the one that kicked it all off with Agenda 21, Agenda 2030. His grandfather, didn't his grandfather say like to come back as some kind of virus and kill 90% of the population? So this son is really cut from the mold of his grandfather and his father, but I think he's even more aggressive than either one of those two, which I would put him on my short list to be the Antichrist. Sorry, just happens to be my opinion. But maybe, I don't know who out of Europe could rise. Maybe it's someone we don't even know. But Europe is just becoming a dangerous place. And I feel sorry. We have Robert. Robert's in Europe. He's a regular listener and calls in, emails in. He's constantly sending me articles about what's happening in Europe. But this would also help explain why it's going to be easy to track down those who become Christians. You're going to have all their communications.
Yeah. There's already a shortage of Christians in Europe altogether. It's very, very dry for Christianity. You can't find converts hardly at all at this point. But all the other people who were grousing about the immigrant situation, all the rapes taking place, all of the other pressure or pushback against the surveillance state. Germany now and Sweden are both limiting cash transactions. Lots of stuff to complain about in Europe. But if you complain against them, they want to censor you. And at this point, they're arresting people and you can see this is going to ramp up over time to where you say one thing today and you could be arrested tomorrow. Period of subject. So this is clamping down on free speech, but also free thought, because they want to head you off before you even say something in the first place.
Yeah. Okay, so here's somebody put out a tweet. You have it embedded in your article. The Communist European Union in action again. Well, I don't think it's communism. I think it's technocracy, which is
technocracy for sure. Yeah.
Which I think again, this is big government, big business working together. You can call it technocracy. What I've been calling for years, communitarianism. I think in many regards, communitarianism and technocracy are the same. We're describing the same thing. Big government, big business coming together to control you with the illusion of a free system that's really not a free system.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, this is viewed by Europeans to be communism. That's the only thing that they have experience with. It was an ugly one too. Same thing with Nazi Germany. Same thing with Italy with fascism. this was their cultural experience at this point, right? So that's all they can talk about. They don't understand technocracy per se like we do. Technocracy was invented in America in the first place. It wasn't invented in Europe, but they're gonna get a taste of it for sure in the future. And right now, this whole thing is just shaping up as a scientific dictatorship. It'll be run by algorithm, not by people. This is an important distinction. The algorithm will control the behavior of people. And
so, what is the long prognosis for organizations like mine?
It's going to be really tough. I'll just say that it's going to be tough. We will hang on as long as we can until we can't. And whatever that means, I don't know. Maybe we have 5 years, 10 years, 2 years, who knows? But you can see at this point, the vice grip is closing on us. And for instance, this thing about if Europe tags Signal and WhatsApp, just consider how will that affect Americans? Well, if you have a friend in Europe and you text something from Signal, for instance, and he texts you back with your message embedded in his text back to you, well, that whole thing will be read by the EU at that point. Mm-hmm. So
when I text my friend in Great Britain, our reporter over there, and tell him how disgusting I think his world leaders are over there, they're going to see all of it.
That's right.
Logan, remind me to start texting him today, please.
He'll be getting back to you from jail.
Yeah, poor Peter McAvane will be like, stop texting. Oh, poor Peter. It's going to be soon. I'm afraid it's going to be poor us, right? Well, look at this. Your article says that we're not going to be able to talk about climate change, climate control.
That's a big one.
If we start saying things against that, they're gonna monitor that and cut that down, knock that out.
That's right. That's a big narrative.
Think about that.
Go figure. Why that in particular? Well, they've been using this narrative. It was all made up in the first place. You documented mm-hmm. that yourself. Mm-hmm. It was a false construct in the very beginning, starting with the Club of Rome and other people in that era. This was all made up, the whole climate change nonsense. But now it's become something you cannot talk about. And even if you're for it, you still can't talk about it.
Even if you're for it, they don't want you talking about it?
If you say the wrong things about it,
mm-hmm.
you're going to be censored.
Okay, so even if you're for it, but don't say something that's in keeping with what their messaging is, then you're in trouble. All right, let's come back. Let's talk about another article you have. Sensitive conversations with ChatGPT show up on Google searches. Now, I had never heard this until today. I don't know. I guess, again, if you're putting in questions, medical questions, personal data, oh my. We'll be right back. Patrick Wood, technocracy.news.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab, and here you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. I checked the news during the breaks. Laura Loomer, who's been a guest of my program several times, she just put out 4 minutes ago. What if I told you a high-level official in the U.S. government had an account on a sex solicitation website and regularly engaged in what she, it was obviously, she described it. I won't go there, so kids don't ask their parents this, but engaged in immoral behavior. Would anyone be surprised? How long will it be till it comes out? A lot of things will start to make more sense. A lot. TikTok. Laura Loomer, the stuff that she puts out, she investigates online and she puts out. Oh my. Well, a lot of us have said for a long time, a lot of these people are compromised. So that's interesting. Also, real quick, before we go back to the topic, we have, and we're going to deal with this tonight with Annie Cyrus on Brannon Howse Live. A new online platform has Hamas terrorists instructing people how to conduct an October 7th style attack. They are literally trying to globalize the Intifada. Think about that, folks. Can I ask you a question? Are you armed? Are you armed at all times? I think those of us that live in states that have laws that allow that so quickly and easily, something you need to really seriously think about, folks, particularly you men. The police are going to show up just in time to take the reports. That's about all. Very rarely do they show up in time to end it. And of course, being Christians, we are targets. Our Jewish friends, they're at risk, as everyone knows. And now we have Hamas instructing people on how to conduct an October 7th style event. We also have the Prime Minister of Israel saying that, quote, Israel won't annex or occupy Gaza. It will launch a time-bound, limited military operation once cabinet approves it tonight, and then hand Gaza over to an international body which will have neither Hamas nor the Palestinian Authority. Dumb idea, in my opinion. Why on earth would you hand over your own land to an international body? They handed over the Temple Mount. They own it, but they gave custody to the Temple Mount to the Islamists. They called their, 5,000 plus families out of the Gaza and turned maybe more than that, turned everything over to the Muslims. How did that turn out? And now you want to hand it over to an international body? I praise Netanyahu when he gets it right, but he gets it wrong an awful lot of the time. Why would you hand over your own land to an international body? How's that working out for you, by the way, at the international body of the United Nations? And then apparently, just in, the White House demands that Putin meet with Zelensky before he meets with President Trump. They're trying to end this war. Some say it may happen before the month is over. Well, we shall see. Patrick Wood comes back. We're going to talk about ChatGPT, but first, you're a Bible prophecy speaker. You're a Bible prophecy follower and teacher. What do you make of this? Benjamin Netanyahu saying that we're going to hand Gaza over to an international body that will neither have Hamas nor the Palestinian Authority involved. Why would you hand over your land to any international body? Is he really not that bright at the end of the day, or is he just, just a politician that this just makes no sense for your country to me.
My guess is he's not so astute on the Old Testament law, and if he understood that land should not be divided, he would have stopped right there. But at this point, this has been the mantra ever since Jimmy Carter, for instance, where all the presidents, all the world basically have been encouraging Israel to give up parts of their country. This is crazy. in my opinion, but they've all encouraged this. He's apparently he thinks he can do it too, but he shouldn't. And there's strong exhortation in the Old Testament that's not given to man to divide the state of Israel. Period.
Well, and of course, my concern would be, I hope the Trump administration isn't behind this, because if they are, look out, America. Look out, America, for God's judgment. If we are in the process of dividing Israel, and I'm being told that there are communications out there by former members of Congress, particularly one, who's warning and asking people to pray that President Trump isn't putting pressure on Benjamin Netanyahu to divide Israel. But if the Trump administration is the one pushing for some kind of international body to take control of Gaza, and we, the United States, are the ones behind that, then I think we're inviting God's judgment. What say you?
I think so. I said this when Trump first went to Gaza and declared that he was going to take over Gaza. How does this work? I just don't know. But he said it very pointedly. He's going to take over Gaza. He's going to turn it into a strip and build hotels and a wonderful life for everybody. Lots of glitz and hotels like Trump Tower. Well, okay, maybe that was just rhetoric. Maybe it was just fun talk, but I don't think so. He's very serious about setting up camp in Gaza. Well, what's the difference at that point? If he can take it over, anybody could really at that point. And maybe, who knows? Maybe has a deal with the United Nations. I don't think that doesn't seem plausible, but at this point, who knows? We know that the United Nations is pro-Hamas in the first place. So they're not going to do any favors for Israel, for sure.
No, they're sure not. All right, we're going to ask our audience about this, their thoughts on this, but let's go to this one. Sensitive conversations with ChatGPT show up on Google search engines are Google searches. What would make anyone think that was acceptable? I mean, I don't know if ChatGPT is something I think you have to pay for it, don't you? At some level you have to pay for it, right?
You do, but even the free model has a share button. But the pro model has it as well. So if you have a conversation on a ChatGPT and you discover some information there, and you want to send it to a friend or maybe a colleague, maybe a coworker, whatever, and you press that share button, okay, it generates a link for you, a private link, they say, but that link, you can send that to your friend or colleague, and they can click that link and see your ChatGPT thread, okay? This is where the trouble is coming in. Because apparently Google, who sucks everything up in the universe, it doesn't care what it sucks up, but Google has apparently discovered the source of these ChatGPT threads in the first place and just says, hey, it's all for good, it's common good here, we'll just take all that information as well. And now people are surprised that stuff is showing up in Google searches. Private stuff they put into ChatGPT, like the prompts that they put in and the answers they got back, etc. This is very dangerous, and so people are getting wised up. I'm sure at this point. Don't ever use that share feature. If you want to get something to a friend, use copy paste and take it out of ChatGPT altogether, put it in another type of a message, a private message, whatever, somewhere else, and then send it to them. But don't, by any means, never give it to the internet to be indexed by Google.
Wow. How about this one over at technocracy.news? Human AI relationships. Quote, what I'm falling in love with? What am I falling in love with? Question mark. What am I falling in love with? And this is because I guess these chat bots are becoming so lifelike and talking to you and interacting with you that now people are gaining emotional connections with their chat bot. Is that what I'm to understand?
It is, but we have to understand the big thing with this story is not just that they exist. They're there are over 350 apps, companion apps that they're called, who want you to believe they're your best friend, they're your lover, your colleague, or whatever that you can ask questions to night or day. It could be your therapist. And at this point, I added up some of the top apps that are listed on. I found them actually on the internet, but I surveyed 8 top apps since 2023. Brannon, you won't believe this. Over 200 million users are using companion apps. 200 million. Who knew that this would spread so fast?
Okay, wait a minute. I got to understand, what is a companion app? What is that? What you create your own little avatar, your own little AI buddy? What does that mean?
That's right. It's kind of like your childhood imaginary friend, but now you have an image on the screen. It talks to you.
You get to pick what the image. So if, let's say a guy's picking a gal, he gets to pick a brunette, a blonde, a girl. That's right. You know, whatever, can pick the guy she wants. So they can build the AI to look the way they want it to look.
Exactly, and it could be like a cartoon type of a character, anime perhaps, but
it could also be real life looking.
That's right. They can be absolutely lifelike as well. And you can pick whoever you want to, model that person after. But at that point, it remembers everything that you said to it, going from the very beginning, and it understands your personality eventually, and everything you like, your preferences, et cetera. All this is stored in memory. So then it can interact with you going forward, and you can ask any question you want, or just have a conversation.
So in other words, it will be like literally having a FaceTime conversation or a Skype conversation with a real human being. It's that real. It's that. So you could be sitting at a restaurant and someone could have their iPad propped up eating by themselves, but talking to someone on that app, on that iPad, or their phone's propped up, and you think they're having a conversation with one of their friends. You won't know it because they, as you walk by, if they don't have a screen protector or whatever, you'll be able to think, oh, they're having a conversation with a real person. They're not. They're having a conversation. It'll be that real life. Who will need a boyfriend or a girlfriend here? And what about the fertility rates? As again, I don't want to get too graphic because the kids listening, but now we've got, you add in the technology of that with these robots they're creating, and you and I have seen the commercials and the videos, the documentaries they're doing on this, and they're becoming more and more and more lifelike, right? And now you got Elon Musk saying these homes are going to have robots that are running around doing your laundry and your chores. Well, when they take those robots and they make them look very lifelike, right? And they're running around the house and you're having a conversation. What happens to the institution of marriage and the fertility rate in America? Let's talk about that. I know it sounds sci-fi, doesn't it, folks? But it's really coming to pass. Technocracy.news, you'll find these articles. And we'll put this up at worldviewtube.com later today.
I'll tell you one little quick story. We had a Worldview weekend client who lived in California, lost their house. Very wealthy guy. He didn't use Bitcoin. He came over here, drove to Arizona with $286,000 worth of his gold because he had no money and no house available. His bank was shut down because he couldn't have access to his bank account.
Was this during the fire? Was this during the fires?
During the fire. Didn't have his driver's license. He lost it. The state wouldn't give him a new license because he had no active mailing address. Real mess. So he came to Arizona to buy a house. He's moving everything over. He said, the only thing I got in my possession that I can get liquid with right now is my gold. I gave him a check for $286,000, and guess what? I didn't need his social, his driver's license. Sort of smiled, and I said, I know you and Brannon talked about how this worked, but boy, this is great. I feel good. I got my money. Nobody bothered me, and I'm protected, and it's private.
Just simply go to worldviewgold.com, fill out the form, worldviewgold.com. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Apparently, Ilhan Omar and Laura Loomer are in a fight. online. That's very interesting. We'll bring that more to you tonight because Laura Loomer is a Jewish gal, and she's taking some swipes at Mohammed and his being a pedophile in a response back to Ilhan. So very interesting things happening out there. A lot of people speaking truth, which of course is why they got to shut things down, right? I mean, they got to shut things down. The globalists. And isn't it interesting that some of the groups pushing for this world government and the World Government Summit is in the United Arab Emirates are the Muslims. The Muslims are probably going to be real quick to get on the side of shutting some of these conversations down because they don't want us telling the truth about Islam or so-called blaspheming the prophet. You want to comment on that before I get back to what we were talking about, Patrick?
No, I think you're right. That you can see the source of censorship. A big source of censorship in the world today is coming from the Islamic world. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think Islam is going to play a major role in Bible prophecy, don't you?
It is. It already is. I think it's absolutely has to be.
Don't you think that a lot of the old school? I mean, I love John Walvoord, John Whitcomb, Robert L. Thomas. I could go on and on. J. Vernon McGee. David Hawking. I mean, I could go on with the Bible prophecy guys I study, the old school guys, Charles Ryrie. But, and I'm not criticizing them because I don't think they had the understanding at the time that we have now to see that Islam is going to play a major role. Islam doesn't come up a lot in their Bible prophecy. You notice that, right? In their writings, it doesn't come up a lot. But the more I watch this and study this, I think Islam is going to be a major player in Islam, at least until the Ezekiel 38-39 scenario where God seems to judge a lot of the Islamic countries. You agree?
This is because we know more about Islam today than we ever knew in the past.
That's right.
It wasn't an issue in the 70s and the 80s. We all knew it was there, but it wasn't a threat like it is right now. And so we know so much more information about the world in general, and not just about certain aspects of it, but the knowledge of the world has increased so much that we now understand stuff that we just could not possibly have understood back then.
Yeah. We do have breaking news. President Trump apparently has come out of the dentist office at the White House, is now sporting gold teeth. He has now decided to go with the whole grill, gold teeth, President Trump. That's fake news. I'm sorry, I just made that up. I told Logan I think that's going to happen. Have you seen the Oval Office lately? Have you seen the Oval Office lately, Patrick?
He likes gold.
Oh, have you seen the amount of gold just added in the last week or so?
I know. It's beautiful. On one hand, it's beautiful stuff, but
it's like the Taj Mahal.
Yeah, exactly.
It is. I mean, he's got gold on the doors, gold everywhere.
Yeah. Look at that big X, a big X at the top of the door there. Does that look like X?
Elon's been in there helping him decorate.
I know. Elon was here.
Elon was here. What was that? What was that character during? Was it during the World War II? That character that they had with the nose hanging over the wall and Kilroy
was
here. Yeah. I was thinking about this morning. Why is he constantly redecorating the White House? They say that almost a daily basis. He's rearranging the furniture and bringing in artwork and statues and clocks. And now he's on a daily basis redoing the Oval Office. Every day I see something more added. I think by the time his term is over, there won't be any white walls in there. It'll all be gold. But I thought and now he's building a beautiful patio outside, which actually I agree with that part. That I've been in that rose garden a few times. That does turn into a sloppy mess. Why not make it nice, beautiful white brick or tile or whatever they're going to do and use it year round? He's going to enclose it eventually. But I got to thinking, what's he doing? And part of me is like, I think I know. I really do. I think I know. I think this is a lifelong builder. This is a man that spent his whole life looking over plans and building, and he's bored to one degree, right? He's bored. This is a guy that likes to see things accomplished, right? I know there are people in this audience that get that. They're builders. They are craftsmen. They do remodeling. I love having a project going. I like landscaping. I got a little section of my yard. I've already laid out when the grass doesn't grow. The trees are too big and the shade doesn't, so I have no grass there, I have dirt. I've already got a landscaping project and that's gonna go there. I'm doing it myself. I know, shocking, right? But my wife is forcing me to do it so that I get down and up and down and up and down, but she's afraid I'm too sedentary during the week. So she said, you can do that, but you have to do it. Or that she wants me to fall over dead with a heart attack. I'm not sure. Have you checked out my life insurance policy lately, Logan? No, I think she just wants me to get up and down and exercise. She keeps telling me I'm not getting up and down enough. You got to get on the floor and up. So I like the idea of projects, right? There was not anything in my backyard when I moved into my house 21 years ago. And I slowly, over 21 years, completely did all of the oversight of the landscaping of what my backyard looks like. And I love that kind of thing. I like, 21 years living in the same house. It's had to be turned over and I remodel, the bathroom or this and that. I love those little projects. And so I got to thinking, well, that's a small example how I like to have a little project going, right? Trump's building massive projects and he's done this his whole life and he gets into Washington. I think he's bored and he's taking it out on the Oval Office now and he's got to have a project going. It's something he can see every day. So I really do. I think there's a lot to the fact the man is used to building and seeing stuff come to pass, and now he's doing it with the White House. I can only imagine. The White House is a museum, and I can only imagine the man that's in charge of the White House. He has an office there. I can't remember what his official title is, but he has an office there. The man in charge of the White House. I can only imagine what he's saying right now, right?
I would imagine that he's getting ready to when he expires, he'll be rolling over in his grave. I'm sure, because it's at this point, who knows? The next president, of course, he could come in and rip it all out and do something different. But
yeah, well, that's what the guy. Look up the title of the man that's in charge of the White House. What's his official title, Logan? The man in charge of the White House. He has an office. He's probably thinking, we're going to need more. Tell the next president we're going to need more than that time period from when the president leaves the office that morning and comes back in the afternoon. We're going to have to put the next president over the Blair House for a couple days because it is going to take us a while to put the White House back the way it was when President Trump walked in. He's the tenant. He's the tenant that comes in and rearranges everything, and the landlord's like, how am I ever going to get this house straightened back out to rent it out to the next guy? This is fun to watch. All right, let's go back to where we were. So when you combine these robots Elon's talking about that will do your laundry and dishes and everything, and then you put on them lifelike bodies that we're seeing some of them do with these robots they're building, and then you add them a brain where it can literally have a conversation with you. Look, we already have, 1 in 4 young people say they don't even want to get married. They don't want to have children. What's this going to do to the fertility rate in America, the birth rate in America?
When people get attached to a machine to the exclusion of a human, they have no ability over time to relate to humans anymore. And this is going to spark a huge social reformation in society, where all these people will be walking around attached to their phone with their companion apps or whatever, the robots. And when a person comes in the room, they won't know how to relate to that person. Mm-hmm. People, especially the people close to you, they have issues. Everybody has issues. Everybody has warts, so to speak, and you don't like what they do all the time, what they say all of that time. But if you're not skilled to navigate that sort of relationship, you're going to be completely clueless on how to relate to humans. And of course, this will spill over into your romantic relationships as well. Mm-hmm. Who needs it? In other words, who needs that person at this point?
Well, if companionship, right? Someone to listen, yes. Someone to listen, companionship. Someone years ago, decades ago, I was listening as a pastor talking about how, many people can make a living by just saying, X dollars an hour, I will listen to you, right? And that's really what a lot of people want. That's what a lot of people go to therapists for, and the therapist just takes notes while the person talks, right? And in some ways solves their own problems by just talking it out with someone. So many people are lonely. My wife and I will run into people, and we often make the comment, that person is very lonely. They're very lonely, right? Well, here you go. The human need for companionship, right? And now you let Islam come in here, where they've got 3 or 4 wives, and they are just procreating left and right. I'm telling you right now, the Islamists are going to take over the country. I can tell you right now, and I think it's part of God's judgment, Islam will take over the United States. I truly believe that. Do you believe that, Patrick?
At some point, if it's left to itself right now, at some point it will. How long? I don't know. Maybe it will take 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, who knows? But you can see the population is growing and the influence is growing.
Yeah, it is.
Great, it is.
Let me go back to Israel real quick, if I can, because we have a comment being made by Benjamin Netanyahu. I guess he was giving an interview to Fox News, and he said this. Listen to this.
Near the Sinai Desert in Egypt, and that town has been flattened. And you have been accused of genocide. How do you respond to that?
Well, if, as Ambassador Huckabee said, if we're practicing genocide, we're surely doing a very bad job of it, because we could have, basically eliminated the entire population of Gaza, but we went the other direction. We did something that no army in history ever did. We're supplying humanitarian food to the enemy's population because we distinguish between combatants and non-combatants.
Of course, Hamas is stealing it. But the media today are very concerned that when he said we could have eliminated the entire population of Gaza. And the left is going crazy over that statement today.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, he could have. They could have done it. They could have wiped out the whole population if they wanted to, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But they didn't do that.
Nope. Let's talk about where you think we're going with President Trump. President Trump, you laugh, where you think we're going. President Trump on Space Force, not Space Force, Operation Warp Speed. Did you hear what he said yesterday?
I did. Stunning.
For those who maybe didn't hear it, here is here's what he said. Here we go. Here's what he said. This is kind of stunning, but here's what he said. He was being asked about mRNA injections. That's the text. That's the context.
Warp speed, these mRNA vaccines that are the gold standard. Right. Now your health secretary is pulling back all the funding for research. He's saying that the risks outweigh the benefits, which puts him at odds with
research
the entire medical community and with you. What is going on?
Research on what?
Into mRNA vaccines.
Well, we're going to look at that. We're talking about it, and they're doing a very good job. And, that is a pass. Operation Warp Speed was, whether you're Republican or Democrat, considered one of the most incredible things ever done in this country.
Wow, we'll be right back.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home, went to bed. Go back. The chief usher. That's the name of the guy. Yeah, Gary Walters. That was the one I remember. Is that his name, Logan? He was he Reagan, George H. Clinton? He was Reagan, George H. Clinton. Yeah, that's the one I remember. He used to give great interviews, tours. I have no idea what his politics was, and I think that was obviously by design. I had no idea what his politics was, but from his public persona, I always liked him on his public persona in the tours he gave, how he talked about the House, serving the presidents. Very interesting guy. I think he actually had one of probably the funnest jobs in the world, and all he got to see and be a part of, literal history. Yeah, the chief usher. Fascinating. All right, let's go back to this clip by President Trump yesterday, which is driving a lot of MAGA people mad.
Talking about it, and they're doing a very good job. And, that is a past. Operation Warp Speed was, whether you're Republican or Democrat, considered one of the most incredible things ever done in this country. The efficiency, the way it was done, the distribution, everything about it has been amazing. But, that was now a long time ago.
Oh, well, it was amazing. Distribution of what? Well, the context was mRNA shots. That was the question. So I don't know. Why does he not just leave this alone, Patrick?
He's been consistent. You can say that about him. He's consistently pumped his record, and he doesn't apparently see anything wrong with it. Maybe it's a blind spot. Maybe it's not more than that. I don't know. But he won't get off of it.
No, he sure won't. Well, I will tell you from personal, firsthand, ear witness, eyewitness. I was in the room. He believes the shot was stopping people from getting COVID.
Yeah.
He believed it worked, that if you got the shot, you would not get COVID. Okay? I was in the room.
Yeah.
He gave an interview. We have the clip. He totally believed that if you got the shot, you would not get COVID, which tells me this president can be convinced of things that are not true if he has the right person selling it to him.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yep. Let's go to this. EU's, here we go. European Union's, it's loading slow, but it's an article. I don't know why it's loading so slow. Your EU's technocratic border control will be launched in October. It applies to all non-EU visitors. We're going to go back to this idea of the European Union. I don't know why that article is loading so slow, but if it will load, we'll talk about it. There we go. There it is. EU's technocratic border control will be launched in October. Again, European Union, if you want to know where America is going, where the other, what I think are going to be 9 unions of the world, 10 divisions are going, watch the EU, because that's where everybody else is going. This is coming to America. But the European Union is the model for the world, and no wonder the Antichrist makes his headquarters there. Look at this. Patrick?
Yep. Remember, this is all going to be contained on your smartphone, for one thing. Your digital ID, your passport, all the different documents that get you from here to here, maybe your vaccine passport as well. Okay, so you go to the airport and you want to fly somewhere, and all of a sudden, your cell phone dies. What are you going to do? You're standing in the middle of the airport, maybe in line to get through the check-in, and your cell phone dies on you, runs out of power, or it just conks, or you drop it, and all of a sudden it cracks and won't turn on.